Number 4, we need a political alliance of the left and the centre. We're facing now a bunch of people who want to kick off a global ethnic civil war. They openly fantasize about genocide. Now, if we're faced with that, we need the maximum number of people united around the one objective of stopping it. And the history of the 1930s, which I explore in my book, shows that that was the only way it was done. When it was left to the working class alone, even when it had like millions of active Marxists, couldn't stop fascism. Neither could the liberal bourgeois elite. When they combined together, what happened? They didn't just combine, or rather compromise, between their two ideologies. A new ethos was born. The ethos you see in movies like Casablanca, which is an ethos of anti-fascism. It's a moral philosophy which doesn't just have a negative to it, which is stopping the fascists. It has something positive, a positive vision of humanity that the left and the centre could, for that one moment in history, share, and indeed did share, in the process of defeating Hitler, defeating Mussolini, and ending the Second World War. I think the first thing we're going to have to do to create the alliance we need to stop fascism is to just have a kind of frank discussion within the left and a frank discussion within the liberal centre. I mean, the liberal centre's just got to stop the kind of ignore them, they'll go away attitude. They've got to stop treating the left as if it's the main enemy. They've got to admit that some things they screwed up. One would be imposing 10 years of austerity so that life never gets better. The left, well, the first thing you learn, I've been a leftist for 40 odd years, first thing you learn on the left is popular fronts are bad. The cross-class alliance of the 1930s ended in tragedy. Well, it did. It did end in tragedy. The Spanish Civil War was lost. The French Popular Front stopped fascism, but then fell apart. I think we must cease awarding ourselves the luxury of ignoring the real lessons of the Popular Front. The Popular Front's formal political agreements between liberals, socialists and communists did, for a time, stop fascism. I will take that as a historical outcome. Despite all the compromises, they had to sing the national anthem, they had to vote for the army budget, they had to fly the national flag and not the red flag, and in France they stopped supporting the rights of French colonies to independence. That was the price the communists paid for joining the Popular Front. What did they gain? Mass strikes, mass movement, mass influence, and a political and indeed cultural movement, the like of which we certainly haven't seen in our lifetimes, but then set the entire agenda of the next 10, probably the next 50 years. Everything that was done after the Second World War to democratize the world, to install human rights universally, was done because of the anti-fascist ethos that was born in the 30s. And what I would like to do with my book and in the discussions around it is invite people to rekindle a new version of that ethos, so that when we have defeated this far right, we don't just stop. We build a better world based on universal values and above all on human beings. The stakes are huge, and learning the lessons of the Popular Fronts in the 1930s is obligatory for anybody who wants to do politics today.